Where are all my princesses at? So we've had the first week of tournaments show up, and everybody expected there to be a lot of aggro, especially like the Princess Heavy Amber Steel aggro line with Aurora and Tiana. And they just didn't show up. Instead, it was a lot of versions of Dumbo. We had Blue Dumbo, we had Steel Dumbo. I'm sure there'll be more Dumbo lists that will show up, but where did the princesses go? And it makes me ask a question that I never thought I'd ask a couple weeks ago, which is Princesses maybe meta? And I think that it still is. I think that there's totally an aggro list in there somewhere. I just think that the aggro lists that have popped up in the current tournaments are the wrong build for them. So a lot of the aggro lists that have popped up are expecting, obviously, to fight more aggro lists, as that was what everybody was talking about. And so they have a lot more removal or a lot more of their like fighting pieces. And that is not really what you want against control, because the fighting pieces that you would have to fight against aggro is not really helpful in a control match. And if you can't win by like turn 5 or 6, control has already gotten control of the game, and it is hard to beat them when they have the card draw and the ink to be able to just stop whatever you're doing and be able to push themselves over to the win. So we have been doing some tweaks with it. We do have some lists to share later, but let's go over our version 1 and our gameplay with version 1 and kind of see how this aggro list evolves over our playtesting. So this here is the Amber Steel list. It is it's the one that I've been playing for the last couple weeks as mostly just a starting point, and I liked it over the last couple weeks. It felt strong, it felt consistent, it felt like it had a very, very good and consistent early game play with the Aurora into the Tiana, and if you don't have the Tiana, Aurora into Raya there. It did have the other aggro pieces that it needed, like the Daisy Duck and the Lilo, and the hand reset like the Dock. One of the best pieces that felt like so good together was Lady and Nala coming out together, because it's 5 lore that you're putting on the field on turn 3, and that just feels great. But what do I think are the problems with this list? So the problems that I see with this list right now, especially looking at more of a control matchup, is that it doesn't have enough early game pieces. I think I counted here, 12 turn 1 plays? And we have over that in turn 4 plays. So an aggro list, in my mind, should never have more like turn 4, turn 5 plays than it has turn 1 plays. The plan is to be able to unload your hand as much as possible, and being able to play multiple characters is the name of the game for aggro, and that's how you overwhelm your opponent. So version 1 of this list does have more of those pieces. It has more of the kind of like Pluto Stitch Rhino to do a lot of fighting with. It does have Goofy, and you'll see in the gameplay that we have coming up that we never really use Goofy. None of our characters ever have enough damage to really stick around to be able to utilize that Goofy one. But this was a great starting point. Very aggressive, very fast, with like the Lilos and the Nalas, like I said. And it did definitely make me think that the Princess Aggro is still maybe meta. And that is what we're starting with for this. Going into what we are playing against. So we have Blurple, which is Amethyst Sapphire. And it is one of the Dumbo lists that is showing up in numbers in a lot of the tournaments coming up, or that have come up. So these lists are built around card draw, and the card draw star of the new meta is Dumbo. So Dumbo's a 3/3 that comes in at 4, and he has an ability that says exert him, pay an ink, draw a card, gain a lore, and everything with evasive, and he has evasive, gets that ability as well. So you can see how, especially playing an evasive list, how you can get a lot of cards in your hand. The card draw is great because it also means that if you can make it to your turn 5, 6, or 7s, when you have things like Hades or Elsa coming down, or even Belle and being able to play multiple things in a turn, how that card draw lets you reset your hand and be able to have a lot of options in your hand to be able to deal with whatever's being presented to you. If you can get control of the field, that is where these types of decks win. So this version of the deck, with it being Sapphire, is also heavy into the ramp. And that makes it so that this deck can play its later game threats and its later game answers a little bit earlier. So you have cards like Sail the Azurite Sea and Tippo that get you an extra ink so that you can do things like Hades and Elsa a couple turns earlier. A nice kind of inclusion I thought was Baymax, which Baymax, when he comes in, he heals some damage and you gain lore equal to the damage that you heal. And it's also when he quests. So that's kind of a nice finishing piece there as well, to be able to gain you that extra lore just kind of from doing things that you want to do anyways. This list can soak up a lot of damage. If you look at a lot of the characters, have a lot of willpower, which means that if you're in control over the challenges, you can make sure that you are challenging characters that you can take out if you're the Blurple list, and your characters will stick around, which means characters like Baymax become a lot better because they can heal your characters to be able to do stuff like that again. So that is the basics of the list here. Notably great into aggro was Rafiki and Hypnotic Strength, because it did let Blurple be able to take out some early game threats from aggro. And if we made it to like your Hades and your Elsa, Blurple did totally control. So without further ado, here is the gameplay for what we had against Amber Steel version 1 and the Blurple list that won a couple of events over the weekend.
All right, we're starting game 1, and it looks like Josh is on the play. He's going to ink something, and he's going to play the Challenger Rafiki, and that is a good start against aggro because it gives him something to threaten my characters with, so I can't just get some free lore off of them. I play a Rhino. My ideal turn 1 play is an Aurora with this version of the deck, but Rhino is the one that I've got in my hand, and I have the shift target. So I am going to shift Rhino. It is big enough that it is not really threatened that much by Rafiki, but there's a lot Josh can do to get rid of it anyways. I'm going to quest for 2. The more lore I can push at the beginning, the better, and Rhino will take out Rafiki, so it'll be 1-for-1 trade, which I'm okay with. Card draw for Josh, and he decides to not take out the Rhino. I think that's smart. And then I'm going to play a Lady and Aurora. The Lady is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I like the 2-for-1 that I get, that she brings a friend. And then I'm going to push for some more lore. So I've got a good amount of characters out there, but we're going to reach the mid-game pretty soon when Josh will start to take control himself. The Elsa coming out is nice because it does turn one of my characters sideways and allows Josh to be able to pick his trades. So you can see there that he was able to get rid of both the Rhino and the Lady. But I can unload my hand again, so that is Aurora gave me a Tiana for 2 and then a Nala that is out. Nala quest for 3, which is great, so I'm looking at 6 lore, I think, right there on the field, which is pretty good. It's obviously not going to stay that way. Aurora's not that big, and it makes sense for Josh to try to take my characters out as best as possible. Plays the Elephant Mim. The Elephant Mim is neat, so like all the Mims, it bounced something back to his hand, so he does have that Elsa again to be able to turn something sideways and be able to pick his trades. It also means that it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for me to keep my characters readied because they're not that safe with Elsa in his hand. The Mim was also pretty neat because at the beginning of the turn, you can move damage around for it. So I know that the Elsa's there. I'm going to quest. The Tiana keeps my characters safer than than they would be with just Elsa coming out, because Josh could have picked just to turn the Nala sideways and to get rid of her. Hades is one of the best ways, I think, to deal with Tiana in this list. I guess into the unknown as well. Turning Tiana into ink means that you don't have to deal with the extra tax to be able to challenge into anything. And then I do a Lady into Nala. So Lady trick again, really love it. Nala is my favorite thing to bring in with Lady. And we're going up to 13. So 13-3, commanding lead on my part. But again, we're reaching that point in the game where the Blurple is going to be able to have the control cards and the ink to do it. So into the unknown Lilo, that's sad because I just want to bring Lilo back again and again, and then challenge down my field. So 2 characters left, 1 character left, which is too bad. So just like I said, that Elsa turning the Nala sideways. The Nala is the bigger threat that is there. The only card I've got left in my hand really is Rhino. Rhino at least takes out most things with him, unless he's got the, unless Josh has got a way to deal with him as far as like tricky combat tricks go. Josh is going to quest up to 5. He plays the Dumbo. Dumbo is amazing as far as card draw goes. It is a card that you want to be able to play and keep safe. And the enchantments are just absolutely beautiful. So I got lucky with a dock, which let me discard nothing because my hand was empty, and draw 2. I'm up to 17. I just need 3 more lore, but if you look at Josh's side of the board, I'm going to struggle to keep anything on the field. So that's the thing the lesson to learn here is that even if aggro's at 19, 20 is what you need to win. And mid to late game decks, as soon as they get control over the field, it doesn't matter if you're at 1 or if it doesn't matter if you're at 19. 20 is what you need, and if aggro can't get to 20, it means that they're not going to get there. So if you look at that mess of characters on Josh's side, you can probably take a wild guess and say, I don't come out on top on this one. He's at 15 now, real big turn. I can get a grand total of 19, which I'm going to do there. I'm going to draw a card off of Stitch. I'm just going to go through the motions and see how far I can get. But yeah, Josh would have quested up to a whole bunch there. So game 2. I get to be on the play. I want to be on the play with aggro, be able to get as many characters out and established quickly as possible. Start with an Aurora, which is my... going to start with a Daisy. So I started with the Aurora, she's an ideal one, but I don't think I had a Princess in my hand at that particular moment in time. And I drew Tiana off the top, so no luck for me. But I have the Daisy out, which is a nice and aggressive play. And I'm going to quest with her. Josh reveals the Dumbo. Dumbo is a great card, but my whole goal here is just to play out as many characters as possible. So Lilo's great. Even in the discard pile, I can play her back from the discard pile. Josh ramps with Tippo. Does give him a character that he could do some tricky stuff with like the hypnotic strength. He could take out, maybe not Daisy, but he could take out some characters with that. I have a Tiana, which is nice. Josh needs to get some characters established. So he's going to Into the Unknown Lilo, which means I can't bring her back anymore, which makes a whole lot of sense. And then he's going to play a Rafiki. So the Challenger Rafiki is really his only way to be able to take characters, especially the early characters, out and out effectively. The only unfortunate thing about the Challenger Rafiki is he does have a 0 strength on my turn, so it means that I can go and do that 1 extra point of damage to take him out without any threat to my side. I'm going to play out a Nala and a Lilo, so that's 5 lore right there, which is pretty good and pretty strong, especially for the early game, and I'm going to quest up to 10. So aggro can get up to 20 pretty quick. My whole goal is to get up to 20 by turn 5. I mean, 4 is ideal, but 5 is more likely. And the characters that I've got out there it's a lot. I think we're at 19 now, aren't we? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're at 19 that I can quest up to. It's going to be difficult for Josh to turn this around, especially with as early in the game as we are. He did need to ramp to be able to get further ahead to his answers, but the problem with taking turns off to ramp against aggro is just giving aggro those couple of free turns to quest and establish their characters and get further ahead. So states that you can see like this here, where we just have a bunch of characters out. And Josh is going to, he's really thinking and trying to figure out. He doesn't like to necessarily just kind of call games right there, but he's gonna, he changed his mind about what he's doing and he plays Niago. So his thoughts there were challenging to Daisy, but that doesn't make sense because he can't actually take out Daisy because of the Tiana. Has Strength of Raging Fire. The Iago, that is a threat that can clear my field, and I quest up to 19. Nothing really on the top stops that, so now we go on to game 3, and we're at 1-1. So starting off with Josh on the play, I don't have that extra turn to get set up, and Josh just inks and passes. I start with a Daisy, which is a nice and aggressive start there, and Josh is going to take the turn off from playing characters to ramp and use that extra card that he ramped to get his challenger out. So I have the Lilo out now, quest with Daisy. So Josh plays an Iago and then he passes. So Iago's a nice, strong turn play for him. It can do a lot of damage to my field, and it can take a lot with these 6 willpower. I play a Tiana. Tiana's not impossible for Josh to get rid of. She's not invincible, but she is still a very strong card. And Josh is going to quest with Iago using Dumbo's ability to get cards as well. So cards are good. Card options are real important in the hand. And then I'm going to play a Rhino. I have a good board state here, but at this point in time, we are going to get further into the game than I want to with aggro, which is going to put Josh in a stronger position than me. So I'm trying to figure out right now, does it make sense to quest or does it make sense to wait for an extra turn or two? And I decide to wait. One of the reasons I want to wait is because I want to have, with this build of aggro, at least 2 or 3 turns where I quest for like 8 or 9 or 10 and be able to win the game that way, as opposed to turning all of my characters sideways early and just letting him take them off and have me lose my characters and have his characters damaged, but still perfectly fine. Play a Lilo, play a Lawrence, and now I'm deciding to quest, which puts me up to 10. So I'm about halfway there, and that in my mind is my point to start questing, especially when we're going to get up to the point in time where Josh can be playing Elsa's. He's going to Hades away that Tiana, and then I get an extra ink off of it, I guess, but I lose the protection for my characters. And then he's going to start figuring out how he wants to challenge down my field so that I lose my characters, but he gets to keep his. Daisy's a good one to take out. I mean, she does sometimes feed him characters, but and then we're going to take out Rhino using 2 separate characters there, and then take out the Lilo. So I am emptier than I was before, and I choose to just replay the Lilo from the discard pile. If I'm top decking, it makes them, or if I have this much ink, it makes the most sense to just keep bringing Lilo back because it's something that he constantly is going to have to use one of his characters to swing into, instead of actually using his characters to like quest or gain him more cards or do other things. So he's forced to deal with those Lilos so long as I bring them back. I dock, which is nice, and then I dock into another dock, which is always a great feeling, and I play out my hand as much as possible. I got a card left in there, but I've got a dock, Rhino, a Lilo, and a Lawrence. Again, it's a very good board state from me, but we're reaching that point in the game where Josh is going to be able to just completely take control because he's going to have enough ink to do all of his answers. He's going to Hypnotic Strength Hades, I believe that is, to take out the Lawrence. And Hades is able to stick around. And then he's going to use Belle's ability to move 3 damage counters onto one of my readied characters. He chooses the Rhino so that I don't get the shift target and be able to have a stronger character out that can just swing right away. And then he plays a Rafiki. So you can see how quickly the tables turn. I play the 2 Lilos from the discard pile. Again, just something he has to deal with there. But the control now that Blurple has in the position that he's at right now lets him be able to get pretty far and be able to stop me and stall me until he can win the game. So his characters are all bigger as in terms of both willpower and in strength, which means that he can do the good trades that he wants to do. Where his characters stick around, but mine don't. He uses the big Elsa, I love that big Elsa so much, to freeze my Lilos, which means he doesn't have to worry about them. And then he's going to quest and kind of use Dumbo's ability to gain some lore and cards and quest with the rest of his characters. So you can see how quickly things change. I'm going to put Pluto out there in Bodyguard. Josh clearly has the game, but I'm just kind of counting to see how far up there I can get. And that is going to be the game. So that was Blurple in 3.
So as you can see, tight game, but Blurple was able to control the field just as predicted if we get to the mid to late game. The cards like Hades or Elsa or Iago even, and definitely Belle, did really help Blurple push it over the edge to be able to stop the aggro list from getting that last couple points of lore that they need to be able to cross that finish line. Looking at the gameplay, I definitely think that this aggro list was too slow for me, and definitely too slow knowing that it is going into control matchups. Going against other aggro lists, I mean, it's nice if it was an aggro heavy field to be able to have fighters, but if it's not, we need to go back to the drawing board, rip some things out, and put some different things back in. So where do we kind of go from here? Well, I am a big fan of aggro, and I'm definitely going to be playing with this list. This list was not my original design. Somebody gave this to me as a starting point. It was a local person. Thank you very much, Quirkee, for the list. And I'm going to be starting to make some changes for it. So notably, I don't like that it has more turn 4 plays than it has turn 1 plays. And so that's going to be the first thing that I change if I'm going into a control heavy meta. So we're going to do some testing off camera. I'll kind of record some stats, but already right now we do have a different version of the list that I am very excited about, and I will post more on that one next week when I actually have some like testing stats and some gameplay to show you. So back to the drawing board with me for aggro. I'm excited for more tournaments to come out to give me more deck lists to play against, so that I can kind of go through this whole gauntlet over and over again with it, where I take a list that is showing up and is popular and is strong, and I figure out what cards I would change in my list to be able to really kind of fight against it and to be able to win. My game plan is going to be just to win fast. I want to win by turn 5, turn 6 at the latest, and that's currently what my game plan is. So, room for improvements. Go back to the drawing board. There will be more lists to follow on what my version 2 will look like.